Hi, Juno News. Alexander Brown here, host of Not Sorry, director of the National Citizens Coalition. I'm a columnist, a campaigner. Thrilled to be back with you to end another week here. We like to talk Doug Ford on Fridays when I record this, and we have much to talk about. But first, oh Canada, we're a nation of so much potential, but we continue to be held back by those who have lost the plot, don't share in our principles, or who are perhaps too thick to know the difference. Even in our period of remembrance, those in power in our broken institutions, they're getting it wrong. In fact, a Saskatchewan prosecutor was just barred from wearing a poppy in court, as if that in any way perjured proceedings. Lana Morelli, a veteran prosecutor, refuses to accept this institutional betrayal, and rightfully so. We have freedom of speech because of what these brave men and women have done for our country, she's quoted as saying. And not being able to honor them by wearing poppies while I'm arguing for freedom and protection tugs at my heartstrings. I have grandparents that have fought in the war. I have family members that are part of the Legion. And I did go to school in the States, and I had many friends that were in the military and went overseas to fight for freedom. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston is stepping up in response to seeing this, announcing that Nova Scotia will move to enshrine the poppy's protection from such un-Canadian dictates such as this. At a moment where a percentage of Canadians claim to again care about our national symbols and our flag, we have to get this right. That talk, perhaps from them, is proving cheap. And we know where the cultural defenestration of the last 10 years has gotten us. Our culture and our symbols need to be protected, even if by law. And we cannot deny the sacrifices and the concerns of our veterans. We cannot let those sacrifices be in vain. I want you to watch these touching remarks from 100-year-old World War II veteran Alec Penstone in Great Britain. Arguably now, and sadly so, you could describe Great Britain as once Great Britain.
What does Remembrance Sunday mean for you? What is your message?
My message is I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The, the country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm
What
sorry.
what do you mean by that, though? At this point?
What we fought for, and what we fought for was our freedom. We find that even now it's darn sight worse than what it was when I fought for it.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And it's our job now, isn't it, to make it the country that you fought for. You absolutely fought for.
Is it.
And we will do. We want to...
I'm so wonderful to know there are people like you that can spread the word around.
We're not getting it right. Not for Alec, not for our great heroes and veterans, our past and present future generations, and on not getting it right, and in shifting gears, but very much in theme with losing the plot and perhaps not sharing in the principles that we should. Canada's self-proclaimed economic engine, home to three consecutive progressive conservative majorities, it too remains in crisis. And it's not just Donald Trump's fault. This was our great veterans, our great Ontarians. They were insulted by 5 years of John A. Macdonald being boarded up at Queen's Park. They can't just blame Donald Trump. Ontario's fall economic statement, it isn't the course correction the province needs. The trend lines remain poor. For all the bluster, the parlor tricks, and the political gamesmanship, let's talk to the man behind the tweet here, Noah Jarvis, formerly of True North. He's the Ontario director at the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Let's commit to doing better for our provinces, for our country. And first, a word from our sponsor.
I want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Albertans Against No Fault Insurance. So, did you know that the Alberta government is overhauling its auto insurance system under a new model called Care First, coming into effect in 2027? Most Albertans injured in car accidents will no longer be able to sue the at-fault driver. Instead, decisions about your care and compensation will be made by the insurance company, not your doctor, not the courts. Critics say this system puts insurance companies first and removes key rights from victims and their families.
Noah Jarvis joins us today, Ontario Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. You can find him on Twitter at Noah R. Jarvis. Noah, thank you.
Thank you for having me on, Alex. I appreciate it.
You know, we're taping this on Friday, and these are quickly becoming to me Ford Fridays, where you get to unpack all the issues in Ontario, all the issues you want to be better, all the matters of a conservative government. You're hoping to be a little bit more conservative, and the topic of the day is this sort of Win McGuinty-esque spending that seems to be continuing. That world-beating sub-sovereign debt. The Ford government is adding 31.6 billion to the debt this year, set to hit 459 billion. What are your comments?
Well, I just got to say the fall economic statement does not present good news. As you said,
Yeah.
they are adding $31.6 billion to the debt. That's far more than the Ford government led us on to believe when they were first elected in 2018. I mean, they were elected on a platform of ending the party with taxpayers' money, ending the party with taxpayer money. But
Yeah.
instead, we've seen the party continue on. We've hit $459 billion in debt. It's set to exceed 500 billion in just 2 years, and that's money that you, the Ontario taxpayer, are going to have to pay back, and we're paying it back right now. This year, we're spending $16.2 billion on debt interest charges. That's more than we spend on post-secondary education. That's about half of the sales tax revenue. So every time you go buy a coffee at Tim Hortons, or you go buy a laptop or whatever, you just remember that about half of that money is going towards bondholders on Bay Street. It's not going toward your key government programming, and that's because the Ford government has continued to borrow massive amounts of money. So just in general, the fall economic statement, not good news for taxpayers.
Yeah, I think we expected it to be grim, and but I didn't expect such an addition to that debt clock you guys are famous for. I think you're running out of room on how to keep that going on the billboard there. The unemployment rate has also been revised to worsen from 7.6 to 7.8%, and is predicted to remain higher than the 2025 budget forecast through to 2028. This is already a province of record youth unemployment. There are more than 700,000 unemployed Ontarians at last estimate. The truer number that takes into account sort of the more fulsome employment in the gig economy era is believed to be much higher. Ontario can't just blame a pandemic or a US president. So what's your concern there?
Well, you're exactly right. We cannot just blame a U.S. president. We've been dealing with this unemployment problem for many years now.
Yeah.
And the Ford government, they like to claim that all of this deficit spending, all this debt spending is going to help fix the unemployment problem. This year, they're giving out $11.9 billion in corporate welfare. These are subsidies to corporations who the Ford government claims are training people for jobs and are able to help inflate these employment numbers. But we haven't really been seeing those results. And even though even if this were delivering results, I still wouldn't be in favor of this corporate welfare. But it's not. So it's not even justifiable based on their own criteria. So when young Canadians are seeing that they're not able to get a job, plus they're being saddled with just thousands upon thousands of dollars of per person debt. Per person debt has exceeded $28,000 in Ontario. Plus, you have to consider all the federal debt that the federal government has been saddling Ontarians with. Once you consider all of that, you'll understand that these governments aren't actually looking out for the interests of the individual taxpayer. They're just trying to come up with new programs so that they can hold a press conference and maybe dump out whiskey or eat a Klondike in front of the press, and make themselves look good.
No, he's I keep waiting for him to light a Jeep on fire at this point, where it's like it's easier to engage in a stunt, a parlor trick, than to actually seemingly unlock the conditions for an economy that can grow in a healthy way. Now, Where do you come down on the ongoing controversy surrounding the Skills Development Fund? There are those in proximity to government who are making excuses. Perhaps they're seeing something we're not. They're quick to dismiss it. It's just this is the way things go now. It worries me. And as a director of the National Citizens Coalition, I know we have our concerns that Bay Street is turning into K Street, that this lobbyist model is further insulating government from accountability and from the public, and the kind of pay to play model that seems to me similar to liberal cronyism federally. We have our concerns. Do you or the CTF?
Well, we absolutely do. I mean, the Skills Development Fund is just another one of the four government's corporate welfare programs. And
Yeah.
if companies are giving donations to the PC party and then they are able to extract millions of dollars from the Skills Development Fund, I mean, that's pretty concerning. But it's not just that there's maybe a pay for play model. I mean, this is just a massive amount of government waste. We recently heard about the story of $10 million going to fund a strip club.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you're really paying your taxes, you're filling out your income tax form, and you're seeing that you're giving away about like 40% of your wage to the government. You don't expect them to then turn around and spend that money on strip clubs and helping the skills of of strippers. I mean, look,
That's
I'm
a
sure
skill, right?
look, I'm sure it's not easy work. I definitely can't do it, and I definitely wouldn't want to do it. But I mean, if we're trying to really help train Ontarians with and help develop their skills, I don't think we should be helping develop the skills of strippers, and taxpayers definitely shouldn't be the ones contributing to it.
No, that's a tax trough situation that I've never heard of. I mean, it's going to, their barbers, their not their, but let's say gentlemen's establishments. It's going to friends. And, it's good to look after your friends, but they don't need those handouts. There should be a better checks and balance system. There shouldn't be preferred access. The role is supposed to be to embolden an economy that where you're out of the way and people can go out and make their claim for their own. Now, you joined myself and others in attendance for the Project in Ontario event on September 30th. Did that gathering in those panels of conservatives, legacy conservative organizations, small c organizations, libertarian minded, concerned citizens, did they strike you as radical or Yahoo esque, as the premier so flippantly put it? Or are conservative concerns and criticisms of this government warranted?
Well, I think criticism of any government is warranted, especially a
Yeah.
government that is so blatantly driving up the debt and really not adhering to their promises of ending the party with taxpayer dollars or delivering significant tax cuts as were promised in 2018. I mean, the way we come from at the CTF is we'll work with any organization, any like-minded people who want to see the problems in this province resolved, want to see taxes come down in this province to help put more money in the pockets of taxpayers, want to see even
Yeah.
business taxes come down so that we can actually compete with American businesses in the face of American tariffs instead of sending out billions upon billions of dollars in corporate welfare. I mean, anyone and any organization who wants to help us fight that fight will definitely partner with. And it definitely didn't seem like a bunch of radicals. It was just people who wanted to find solutions for Ontarians, people who want to help deliver for the young people of Ontario who are concerned of the massive amounts of debt that we are saddling on young people. I mean, look, when you have a government that sees a decrease in revenues by $4 billion and is instead increasing money by increasing spending by 7.3 billion, you definitely have a problem. And I think a lot of people are recognizing that they're trying to propose solutions. And I don't think the Ford government should be demeaning people for trying to find those solutions.
No, and these are legacy organizations and those who very much respect the legacy of the common sense revolution and who just wish to see a reorienting towards some more conservative principles, some fiscally responsible principles. Because as to your point about young people, Ontario is in the grips of a provincial housing disaster that's spurred in part by continued fallout from mass immigration, but also because the province isn't building homes. Housing starts are off a cliff and heading for just, in accordance with the fall economic statement, just 65,000 starts a year at a time when Ontario sort of haphazardly is accepting so many temporary residents, permanent residents, asylum seekers. Ford tried to give out more work permits to those asylum seekers. That they sat back, as the diploma mills exploded the last few years. Where would the CTF like to see adjustments on the housing file, or say the conditions for the housing file?
Well, first of all, we have a situation in this province where municipalities are levying extraordinarily high development charges
Yeah.
on builders who are just trying to build new homes, who are trying to expand the housing supply. I mean, developing charges is such a creative euphemism. It's really just building taxes. It's
Yeah.
taxes on building new homes. And when you explain it like that to most Ontarians, you'd find that they are against placing taxes on just builders who are trying to build affordable homes for everyday Canadians. And municipalities are profiting, in the case of the city of Ottawa, about like 10 to 15% of their revenues coming from the development charges. And the province is the one who creates these municipalities. Municipalities are creatures of the province. The provinces are creatures of the federal government in the same way that municipalities are. So the province has the power to force municipalities to cut their development charges, to reform development charge policies, and to incentivize them to maybe cut their development charges. But instead, this fall economic statement is concerned with spending billions upon billions of dollars. There was not any mention of reforming the development charge system in this province. And if we continue to increase development charges, as say the city of Toronto has indicated, or other big municipalities have indicated that they'll continue increasing development charges, we're not going to see that increase in supply in the housing supply. So there's both sides of the token to the housing crisis, whether it's supply or demand. But on the supply side, governments can really help out builders by making it more affordable to build homes, and they're just not doing it.
No, they're not. And that leads to so many downstream issues for our young and working age. Like there is a tweet today from Harrison Lohman, editor, deputy editor of the Hub, where he was going through John Ibbotson and Daryl Bricker's new book. And that book, I guess through Bricker's polling, found that 47% of Torontonians aged 20 to 34 still live with their parents. That is the highest in modern history. They say that young Canadians are trapped in an extended adolescence. If you were a conservative government, say a progressive conservative government, would that number not strike you as a failure to provide those proper conditions for growth?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you are a young person and you're having trouble finding a job, and then say you eventually get a job, you're probably dismayed at the fact that the cost of housing is so high because of these development charges that
Yeah.
your wage, like about 20 to 30% of your wages are garnished just if you're in the first income tax bracket. I mean, and if you are a more successful young Ontarian, someone who has a lot of skills to offer to this economy, you might not want to stay around. I mean, I
Yeah.
always share the story of my friend who I grew up with through middle school and such. He's a really talented guy. He didn't even get a computer science degree. He was so good at this
Taught
stuff that he
himself.
just
Yeah.
taught himself and just went
Dang. Okay.
straight into the job market. And what he found was that living in Canada was so expensive on the cost of living side, and he's having such a large portion of his wages garnished by the government that he decided, hey, going to the United States and pursuing computer programming over there is a far more profitable endeavor. So what did he do? He packed his bags and he went to New York City. It's not like New York City is like well renowned for having low taxes and
Yeah.
affordable housing. But the situation in Canada, the situation in Toronto was so bad that moving to New York was a far better option for
Yeah.
him when it comes to the cost of living, when it comes to keeping a greater portion of his wage. So I feel as if policymakers are really missing the mark when they aren't trying to deal with the productivity crisis by cutting taxes, because people don't want to have more than 50% of their wage taken from them when they are contributing so greatly to the economy.
No, and he might have to move back after Mom Donnie got elected. It might get a little expensive for him, or maybe he'll go to
Well,
Calgary where it's
or go to Florida, maybe, like
that's the
honestly,
move.
like At this point, if big city mayors, I mean, even across North America, are raising taxes, they're going to move to lower tax jurisdictions. But
Yeah.
in Canada, we don't have a provincial government, at least in Ontario, that is willing to cut taxes. I mean, Ford said he would be willing to cut taxes in 2018. Those didn't manifest, and we don't have a federal government that's committed to cutting taxes either. I mean, Carney did deliver a very modest 0.5% income tax cut for the lowest quintile earners, but that isn't significant. It doesn't change the overall high tax environment that we have in this country, and it is forcing a lot of people to consider their options abroad.
Yeah, especially coming out of the federal budget that we finally saw, which of course has all kinds of people concerned for all kinds of reasons. I had Ian Lee, associate professor from Carleton, on this week who wasn't totally dooming it, but it's as if the middle class in Canada doesn't exist anymore or isn't supposed to exist. You see these gestures for the lowest income and then protections for the highest income, and then there's just the social mobility just is not taken into account for anybody else. And so I wanted to touch on Ontario's EV subsidy protection model, racket, one may call it multiple things. And then you kind of have this name calling aimed out west, where Ford talks about how, well, Danielle Smith has something that people actually want in oil and gas. Should Ontario not be abandoning this costly sort of Trudeau allied boondoggle to pursue better conditions for growth and a healthier economy?
Well, absolutely, they should be abandoning it. I
Yeah,
mean, the provincial government and the federal government together, they contributed billions of dollars to Stellantis, formerly Chrysler. And what did Chrysler announce just about a month ago? They announced that
yeah,
they're going to be moving jobs from a plant in Ontario, I believe in Ingersoll, to the United States. And that is because we have a hostile business environment in this country. The corporate tax rates are quite high. If Ontario just replaced its corporate subsidies, $11.9 billion this year, with a corporate tax rate, you could cut the corporate income tax rate by about 4.5%. The Montreal Economic Institute, they did a really good report to that effect, and it would bring Ontario's combined corporate tax rate in line to be competitive with many jurisdictions in the United States. But instead, we are just funneling out billions upon billions of dollars to these companies, who then turn around and decide that they're going to just move their production elsewhere. So I don't believe in these big taxpayer boondoggles promising thousands upon thousands of jobs for Ontarians, and then they turn around and they're actually shipping out thousands upon thousands of dollars. Look, we shouldn't be picking and choosing winners in the
yeah.
marketplace. We should be consumers should be deciding for themselves what car companies they want to support with their hard-earned money, and if they decide that they want to make Ontario more competitive with the United States when it comes to auto production, they should instead be creating a less hostile business environment.
It's great advice. I hope they listen. Noah Jarvis, CTF. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, Alex.
Did you like this episode of Not Sorry on Juno News? Take advantage of our promo code. Go to junonews.com/not sorry for 20% off. You're going to get access to all the terrific work here. Thrilled to be a part of it, and I'll see you next week.